LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the modern day Rolodex for any seller, business owner, consultant, solopreneur, or agency owner to generate leads and sell to businesses. It is like LinkedIn on steroids, and it is full of ways that allow you to find, research, connect with, and sell to decision makers at businesses ranging from one-man startups to Fortune 500 companies in pretty much every single industry. But some of the best use cases are totally hidden. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you a masterclass on how you can use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to its fullest potential. I'll be covering the basics and some devious hacks along the way. Let's fucking go. So some background before we get into the platform itself. LinkedIn Sales Navigator has 3 tiers of paid plan. The one I'm going to be focusing on today is the core plan, which is $99 a month or $79.99 if you pay for it annually. The other 2 plans are designed mostly for teams. Those ones with like admin controls, team link, and CRM integrations. But for most people, especially if you don't work for a company who's providing you a license, you're just going to need the core plan. Let's get into the tool itself and I'll give you a quick tour. Because I'm a customer of Sales Navigator already, if I'm on linkedin.com, all I have to do is click on this button in the top right hand corner. That's going to take me to Sales Navigator, and this is the home page. Once you start saving different accounts and leads and prospects, this is where you'll start to see updates from those accounts and those leads themselves. Now from this home page, we have a few options. Along the top, we've got our accounts. This is where you'll be able to see all your saved accounts and the different lists of accounts that you create. Leads, a similar story here. This will be where you'll be able to create different lead lists. LinkedIn does provide you with 3 recommended leads, new executives that saved accounts, and recently accepted connections and emails. And then finally, there's the messaging tab. LinkedIn Sales Navigator has a totally separate inbox from the core LinkedIn one. So this is basically to keep your sales messages separate from your networking, friends, co-workers, or even job opportunity messages. So none of this is very helpful if you don't even know how to find leads in Sales Navigator in the first place. There's 2 ways you can go about doing this. Along this search bar here, you'll see you can find lead filters. These are ways that you can find individual people, actual prospects, and account filters. This is how you can find companies that might be a good fit. I'll highlight both, but most people will start with lead filters. So now you're in a lead search. This is where you're gonna be able to search for individual people as well. And on the left, you're gonna see all the filters that you can use to search for these people. You're gonna wanna make sure you click see all filters to expand this bar to get all of the different options. And then you can add in different filters that you would like to narrow down your search. I've found the more narrow the search, the more accurate the results, and the better the leads I can actually find with it. So use as many of these as possible. Running you through the options real quick. Current company. What company do they currently work at? Company headcount. How many employees does that company that they work at have? Past company. What companies did they used to work at? This can be really helpful if you have a lot of customers already and you want to find people who used to work at your customer account and have started a new account, and you can use that as quite a warm way in. Company type, is it public, non-profit, private? And then company headquarters location. So if you have a territory or you only want to sell to companies in Canada or the US, you can include that here. Often much more important than where the person themselves is based. Then we get into the role filters. So there's a couple of overlaps here and I'll explain them as we go. So first of all is function. This is going to basically just what department are they in? Accounting, legal, operations, sales. Current job title. This is way more useful than the function because I found the function kind of mislabels people. So this is where you could type in a title of someone who you're looking to target. So you could put VP of Finance, and then you're gonna get the option to include the Vice President of Finance. Now LinkedIn autofills and gives you recommendations of things you can search, but I don't always recommend doing this. So whilst I may want to include Vice President of Finance, I then can type in VP of Finance and then just hit return. And that's going to include those people in my search results as well. And whilst there was only 82,000 vice presidents of finance, there's 120,000 plus vice president of finance and VP of finance. So don't just limit yourself to the titles that LinkedIn recommends. Type in your own titles, you'll know your customer better than LinkedIn does. Below that is seniority level. So are they a CXO? Are they part of the C level? Vice president, director, manager, experienced manager, entry-level manager, strategic, senior, entry level. You'll start to realize that that kind of overlaps with the function and current job title. I recommend using the current job title over the function and seniority level because you can be much more specific about who you're looking for. Then you have past job title. I rarely end up using this one. Years in current company, another one that I rarely use. Years in current position, another one that I very rarely use. It doesn't really matter to me. Then we get to the personal filters. You can search by geography. Where is this person based? So while a company headquarters might be in Brooklyn, they might have employees globally. And you want to make sure you find the ones who speak the same language as you or are most likely to be in charge of that specific function. Industry. Now you got to be very careful of using this one because you might think, okay, well, I want to sell to those, let's say optometrists, right? But However, this is a self-selected thing. So a lot of people either don't select an industry, or they select the wrong one, or they never update their industry. I would not recommend overly relying on industry for a personal filter. First name, last name, probably not that important. Profile language, this one is important. You probably want to speak to people who are speaking the same language as you, but you don't want to limit that either, because most Europeans and most South Americans speak pretty darn good English as well. Years of experience, less important unless you're a recruiter, if they're part of any groups, and what school they went to. Those ones, again, I don't tend to use. Now we're on the right-hand column of filters, starting with buyer intent filters. Do they follow your company on LinkedIn? This one could be really helpful to find people who are aware of your company and therefore going to be much more likely to engage, especially if your company creates lots of content on LinkedIn. The next one down is people who have viewed your profile recently. This is super helpful if you're someone who creates a lot of content, because it'll help you find the most engaged leads. For example, I create a lot of content on LinkedIn, and when I click this, I'm going to see all the people who have recently viewed my profile, and therefore be much more receptive to me connecting with them or reaching out to them. Those of you who don't create content, this can be helpful to find those people who, maybe for those who have reached out to before or you've tried to connect with, you want to see those who have viewed your profile since that interaction. Next one down is best path in. So the first filter here is connection. First degree, you're already connected with them. Secondary connection, you have mutual connections. You're connected with someone they're connected with. Group members, you're in the same group as them on LinkedIn. That's a hack, by the way. Join up some groups so you get more visibility. And then the fourth one is third degree connections. You have no mutual connects. This is why it's really helpful to be active on LinkedIn and connect with lots of people, because it allows you to expand your network. You can also search for people who are connected with a specific person. So you might want to include your boss, one of your friends, someone in your network, so you can look for referral opportunities by including a connection of. You can also search for people who are past colleagues of you. In my case, I've got 33,000 results because I've worked at a fair few companies. And then there's shared experiences, i.e. someone who's in a similar group or has worked at a similar company to you. Right below that are recent updates. So change jobs is one of those. When people change jobs, they often tend to make a lot more decisions. They might want to overhaul the team or launch a new plan or consider new technology. So reaching out to people who've recently changed jobs, those people are likely to want to be making changes sooner, especially if they're at the executive level. And then right below that is posted on LinkedIn. So not everyone posts on LinkedIn. Some people just use it as a digital resume, but those who do post on LinkedIn, you can use that as information that will allow you to generate a really relevant message or understand more about their business. So by searching for those who are posting on LinkedIn, you can find ways to engage with their content, comment on their content, or do some further research on them and what they might be working on at any one point in time. And then workflows. So first, persona. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in just a moment. Below that is account lists. This is where those account lists and saved accounts come into play. You can search people who work at the companies that you've saved in one of your account lists. That is very useful, and you do want to do that. I'll show you exactly why when we get onto the account filters. You can also search people who are in one or more of your existing lead lists as well. If you are on one of those higher plans, like the advanced or the team plan, then you can see people who are in your CRM or who are not in your CRM. If you do have your CRM connected, you're probably going to want to look for people who aren't in your CRM, so you're finding net new leads to reach out to. And then you've got the people you've interacted with. So if you sent someone a message or viewed their profile in the past 90 days, you can include that there, and it will show you those folks that you've been messaging. And then finally, you can exclude or include any of your saved leads or accounts. This allows you to cut out anyone who you've already identified and saved to a list. Once you've added in all your filters, you might want to just tap this button here, which says Save Search to get notified of new results. This means anyone else who enters that kind of segment, for example, viewed your profile or changed jobs, will appear in the saved search results, and then you will also get notified that there are new searches available. When you want to pull up one of your saved searches, you just click Saved Searches here, find one that you like the look of, click View, and that will pull that information into your search, so you don't have to redo every single filter you do every single time. You can also make use of personas. So this is where you basically save the kind of information about the prospects in. So you might have several personas like sales team member, a C-level, a director plus ready. And then all you need to do is click on that and you'll bring in your persona into your search results here. That'll save you a ton of time redoing the same stuff and finding the same people all over again. So now I'm going to run through an example search that you might do for a lead. If I'm selling to founders, entrepreneurs, and that type of people, I might choose 1 to 10. If I'm looking to sell to large teams, then I might do 50, 200, 500 to 1,000. Then I'm going to look for companies that are headquartered in North America, EMEA, Europe, or Oceania. From there, I might type in VP of Sales, Vice President of Sales, VP Sales, Vice President Sales. And now I've got some Vice Presidents of Sales who work for companies with 50 to 1,000 employees who are headquartered in North America, EMEA, or Oceania. So now I can't just go through and start adding all these people to a list. It would take me way too long because I have to select all and go page by page. So I might want to narrow this search down a little bit. I could narrow down on the ones that have changed jobs recently, or maybe those who are posting on LinkedIn. So out of those 70,000, only 13,000 are posting on LinkedIn. These are going to be people who I can be pretty confident are actually active on the LinkedIn platform and therefore are worth spending more more time on. Or if I wanted to actually do some research, I could click on their recent posts on LinkedIn and see what they're talking about recently. But I want to narrow this down some more. So I'm going to go for North America geography. So exclusively people based in North America. I'm going to add in the sales function. I'm going to go for connection. I'm going to probably do secondary connections here just to narrow it down a little bit more, which will probably take me to 17,000. There we go. And then change jobs. And then finally, here's the little secret that LinkedIn doesn't tell you much about. You can actually search for keywords on their profile. So in this case, I might want to just sell to folks in the software industry. So I might just type in software or SaaS or platform. And that's going to look for those keywords somewhere on their profile. So now we've got secondary connections and who've changed jobs recently. We've got 558 of these people. I can just kind of look through these. And then once I've got the people I'm looking for, I can save them to a list. At this point, I can create a new lead list or I can save them to an existing list on LinkedIn. Once you have those leads saved, you're gonna have these lead lists ready to go. So I might open up one of my lead lists here. Now you have a few options to do with this lead list. Number one, you can look for people who are changing jobs within that lead list or have posted recently in the past 30 days if you want to re-engage someone you already have already. You can also connect directly with them or send them messages from this screen. Well, before we jump into the next section, I want to answer a question that I get almost every single time I make a video about LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Will, this is great. I've found people I want to reach out to, but how do I now get their contact details, their email address and their phone numbers so I can begin reaching out to them? LinkedIn Sales Navigator alone does not provide that to you. You need to use a third-party data or enrichment tool to get that information. And the one I use is the sponsor of today's video, Full Enrich. Full Enrich is a platform that allows you to grab someone's LinkedIn profile, stick it in, it's gonna go do its thing, check a bunch of different sources, find their work email address, and a lot of their times their direct mobile phone number, and provide that back to you so you can begin reaching out to them. And what's specifically awesome about Full Enrich is that it goes and checks several different sources, so it has some of the widest coverage and highest quality contact data available on the market. That means that you're able to reach far more of your target market, and you waste far less time sending emails that are likely to bounce or calling up numbers that are duds. Full Enrich is able to connect to your existing tech stack so you can send and pull information from your CRM and outreach tools. If you'd like to test this out for yourself, there is a link to a free trial in the description of this video with no credit card required so that you can test it on one of your lists and see what you get back. Highly recommend. Let's jump back to the video. So that's where you might want to start making use of those lead lists. But then what's the point of searching for accounts? Well, I've found a better workflow to get better high quality leads is actually find a list of good fit accounts first and then search for the leads who work at those accounts. Because ultimately, if you're selling business to business, then you really care more about the business criteria that you're reaching out to versus the person's criteria. So you can do an account search that includes different filters that weren't available in the lead searches. So for example, I can search for account by annual revenue, company headcount growth. You'll realize that wasn't one in the lead searches. You can look for their headquarters location and you can search by company industry versus the person's industry. This is far more accurate. Department headcount, so if you're looking for someone who has, let's say, an accounting team of more than 10 people or less than 5 people, you can include that here in the department headcount. You can also drill down on department headcount growth. So if someone's laid off half their marketing team and you're a marketing agency, that's a pretty darn good reason to reach out to someone because they've probably got a lot of work that they need help with at any one point in time. And you'll be able to see if that company is hiring on LinkedIn. You'll be able to see if they've had a funding event in the last 12 months or have had senior leadership turnover. Then you can also include or exclude any company who's already in your CRM or who's already in a saved account list. Now, the thing that's really important here is that you can also search for keywords. So I go onto the LinkedIn's main platform and I go to a company page. For example, Nooks. What we have is an overview and of course their headline as well. Their industry is software development. What we get is their headline and an overview as well. By searching this keyword bar here, we can look for any keywords that are involved in their about section. For example, if I type in here, software, then we get 970,000 results. Meanwhile, if I go to company industry and I include software development, we get 1 million results. When I do both, we get 250,000 results. So if we just rely on the LinkedIn industry filter, then we miss out on a bunch of different results there. So the best thing you can do is make use of both of those to make sure you're not missing out on anyone. So for example, if I do construction and put some brackets over here and I search for that, I'm gonna find a bunch of construction software companies, right? I can look for the companies that look like good or competitive with the companies I've worked with in the past. I can go add those folks to an account list. Now if I go to my account list, I can see I've got 30 construction software companies saved, right? And these are all gonna be companies that I can use my social proof that I've worked with Autodesk and CMIC in the past. So then I go to my lead filters and I stick down here, account lists, and I include construction software, and then I include my persona of Director Plus, and now I'm gonna see 69 people who are sales leaders at those 30 companies. So now I'm getting very specific on who I'm targeting. I can then select these people and have a specific list of sales leaders at construction software companies that have sales teams over 20 people. And that's going to allow me to connect with those people, get their emails, get their numbers, start calling them, start reaching out to them with a very strong reason that I've worked with an account very similar to theirs in the past and help them solve similar challenges to the ones they might be facing. That's where account searches and account lists start to make lead lists even more powerful. Now, a couple of extra pieces. You can click on any account or person to find out more information about them. So you can click on an account like Nitro software and you can see insights. So I can generate some insights and I already have a prompt set up here, which tells me how they make money. Then you can set up your different products that you sell and it'll give you reasons of why they might be interested in your product at any one point in time. This essentially gives you more of an opportunity to figure out how you weave in, oh, I can see this about you, and that made me think you might need this. It also tells you some business challenges they might be running into. So for example, Nitro software is an e-sign tool. They've got loads of competitors in their market. It also tells you some of the main competitors and how their headcount might be increasing or decreasing in any given department. So these are all places you can look to try and find out more about an account or get up to date so you can start reaching out to people at that account. You can then start to see who might be the decision makers of that account. In my case, Nitro is a customer of ours and Joey was the main person I spoke to. So it immediately identified who the best fit person for me to talk to would be at that account. You might want to click onto their profile and then you can get a bit more insights on them as well. And again, it's running into the fact that Nitro has a lot of competitors, which was the reason that in the end they decided to buy from us because they were looking for ways to differentiate. Looking at their profile, looking for updates will all allow you to do better outreach to any given person or any given account. Whew. So that is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. I've done a ton of content on LinkedIn Sales Navigator on this channel in the past, but I plan to do a ton more in 2026 as well. So this video has been useful to you. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe so you can see those videos when they do come out. In the meantime, if I didn't make anything clear or you have questions or you run into any challenges, please do feel free to drop a comment below. I'll be sure to respond to those and give you the answers that you need. Keep it real, get after it.